so early that I feel like my brain isn't quite awake yet. So if I seem a little off, forgive me. But we have a different kind of setting today. It's, what time is it actually? Give me a second. Give me a second. It is 6:03. 6:03 a.m. and we are at Uhuru Park with the famous, the iconic Mutua Matheka, who's about to show us what it takes to create some of those stunning images. I'm sure you've seen Nairobi in a way that you've never seen it before online. Yeah. You know those pictures where you're like, is Nairobi?
That created, or
is that Nairobi?
Yeah.
That's, so he's showing us how to work his magic right now. And we needed to come quite early because we need to catch the sunrise and the colors that stream through right before the light actually comes out. So actually, tip number one, if you want to get the good shot, you have to be the early bird.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Be the early bird, do the things that people do not want to do.
Yeah.
See, I'm the only photographer here.
That's true.
So if I have this shot, who else has the shot?
Hey, gems, dropping gems. Tip number two, you need to have your tripod, which you have to set up because you want it as a stable shot.
Yeah.
And then the rest, it's like just camera lingo and
the rest
magic. He was trying to be like, there's an exposure and then there's iris and shutters, and I was like,
that's me breaking it down in the simplest. Trying to be simple.
Okay.
Yeah, but trying to be as simple as possible. It makes sense. Yeah.
So now it's just a waiting game.
Yeah, so now it's waiting game. The good thing, one good thing also about coming this early is that you can almost, it's like you can shoot a night shot at the same time, though it's a night but not night. Okay. Like what you just saw is, because right now it could be at night. Right. So I can get to shoot the night shot, and then in like 20 minutes I'll be shooting a sunrise.
So you get two different,
precisely. You get two different images that you could, do different things with later. The other thing is I'm shooting on timer. It's either you shoot on timer or have a remote. Okay. Because when you're shooting that long exposure, if it starts immediately at press, then I'm shaking. And so there's more likely to be shake when you zoom into the picture. So if I'm on timer, I get to press, I leave it settle, then it shoots. Okay. Zoom into the double zoom just so that I see. I cut out all that I don't want. Okay. The lens allows me to do is, first of all, get it very sharp. Then number two, I've exposed so that it only shows the building and the rest down here is, and when editing I can even kind of darken the whole bottom just so that all that disappears. Then what I love most, depending on which lens, is those starbursts from the lights. And those happen because of the diaphragm inside the lens.
Good morning, ladies and gents. Happy Friday. How are you doing today? I hope you had a great week. I hope you worked hard, and I hope that you're ready for the weekend as well. We have an exciting show planned out for this Friday. We're talking to Mutua Matheka, the most iconic photographer, successful, disciplined, creative. I see you shaking your head like, hey, humble man over there. He's amazing, and we're about to get into his journey, how he started, how he built his brand, and what his next steps are. But before we get into our guest and his story today, please follow us on social media. I'm pretty certain there's a lot of you out there who are curious to know a little bit more about photography, or maybe even just the arts. And if you do have any questions, please hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. That's Living with S. We'd love to hear from you. What else do I have to say? I think that's it. I think I want to jump right into the convo.
That was a good intro.
Thank you.
It needs to be pre-recorded and sent to everyone. This is the minimum.
Thanks, Mutua. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Let me tell you, when I realized you're coming in, I was like, okay, we've got to like up our style game and just have this like cool vibe, which I don't even know if I hit the cool vibe. Because on a scale,
I don't think you have a problem there.
No, but I'm telling you, on a scale of like 1 to cool, you're like very, very, very cool. Like you're just, I felt the pressure to I was like, Jockey, we've got to like relax. We've got to take it easy. Give me like a cool, I don't know. I just felt the pressure.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. Makes me feel a lot more, chill.
I love your
That's
vibe.
not my strong suit.
Okay, well, actually, your strong suit is photography, isn't it? And now let's go back to the beginning. When did you first pick up a camera?
2010.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, that almost feels like just the other day. Yeah.
Bought that camera in 2009 though.
Okay.
But didn't do. It was just there.
That's less than 10 years ago.
Yes.
So what did you then study in school? Did you study photography?
No. I studied architecture.
Aha.
It's like my plan, and it's not by chance because I've wanted to be an architect since I was in standard 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why architect?
I don't know. I think it's because I just love creating at the end of the day. So architecture for me, was like, it's a good outlet, creation, stuff like that. Then there was a neighbor friend of mine whose elder brother was in JKUAT studying architecture. Okay. So when we were playing at their house, I was in primary school at that time, I'd see all these plans and small model houses, and I'd be like, I don't know what this is, but it's what I want to study.
Yeah, but
it's what I want to do, because it just looks extremely cool.
Oh, nice.
And then from there, I just focused my life on being an architect.
So did you actually take the 6 years and do the whole...
Did the whole course, graduated 2009.
Okay, so 2009 is when you then bought your camera.
Then I bought my camera. But my interest...
Yes.
See, this is the interesting thing about university.
Yeah.
I think if you do it well, you go to study one thing, but you learn a lot of things.
I agree.
So when I was in university, I got interested in a lot other forms of art. Though I've been an artist pretty much, I think, all my life. My mom says from when I was 3, I was drawing. And my mom is obsessive. She's those people who, if you show a hint of interest in anything, she will bombard you with everything. Like if you just pick up a crayon as a kid and start coloring something, she'll buy coloring books, crayons, and she's like, do it. If one day she just catches you playing with the way you see a keyboard and it's like, he needs
piano lessons. Bless you, Mama Matheka. I think
So me and my sister, we had piano lessons. I was studying piano when I was in primary. She was doing recorder. We were going every day for swimming classes after school. Okay.
So she allowed you to channel into your creative core.
Yeah, she encouraged it.
Okay. Yeah. So you then pick up your camera in 2009. Yeah. At what point did you think, wait a second, I know I just spent 6 years doing this other thing, but I think I want to pursue this?
2011, maybe.
2011.
Yeah.
And how did your family react to your decision to want to pursue photography?
I don't remember them being extremely shocked.
Oh.
Even my mom, she was like, okay. I mean, because I've been kind of doing odd jobs and stuff like that since I was in class 8.
Okay.
Like I'd paint, for drama festival.
Yeah.
In schools, because I grew up in Machakos.
Okay.
So for some of the schools there, my mom knew them because she's a teacher. So I will go paint their backdrop, make some money. I think 3,000 I was being paid to paint a backdrop.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. So
in primary school?
Yeah.
What? If I had 3K in primary school, I'd have been balling. Let me tell you, drinks are on me. Your juice is on me, crisps, everything.
This is true. So, I had gotten used to find a way to do odd jobs, odd things, because I really liked to depend on myself. My dad was not really in the picture. So money was not like excessive.
Okay.
So I preferred to I was like, if I'm going to wear the clothes that I love, I better buy them myself.
Okay.
Because again, my mom will be like, you need breathable fabric, silk and cotton. Do you know how bad a silk shirt looks when you're in Form 1 and you're trying to look cool? And I come and my mom has bought me this pink silk shirt. And she's like, this, yeah.
Right.
I was like, Mom, please don't buy me things. I'll buy them myself.
Okay. So then you decide that photography is your next
it seemed like the next
career path
step.
Okay. And did you have to transition from a different job?
Yeah, because at that time I was, this story is going to go like this, but anyway, I was employed as an interior architect.
Okay.
In an interior design firm, which was the first job I got out of school. And I was excited about that. One of the things when I was looking for a first job, I'd said that I was going to move around Nairobi, like, you know, drive around Nairobi. And by drive, I mean, you know, to just be observant about buildings that are coming up. And if I see some exciting building, I'm going to go and ask for a job from that architectural firm.
Okay.
I didn't see too many because, Nairobi architects. But a story for another day.
Okay.
So then I think one of the ladies that I was with in university, she was 3 years ahead of me, had started a firm, and she said, hey, when you're done with school, let me know. We might have a place for you.
Yeah.
So I just said, before I start looking, let me call her and tell her. So I got a job there.
Okay.
And that's what I've been doing. It was really exciting. By the way, I didn't leave my job because I hated my job. In fact, it was a tough decision. It was a matter of freedom more than...
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you know it was the right time? Did you start by saving? Did you just go with your gut? Were you just like, God help me?
Yeah, I know that you've said that, and I'm like, wow, that sounds like a very organized person, which is not me.
Okay.
My decision was not very rational.
What was it based on?
It was just pure faith. I think there was a lot of elements of faith, because I remember thinking, okay, I'm employed now. I'm making, I think, 70,000 a month. It's not bad, but I don't have time. So I said, okay, I'm already, by that time, I think I was doing portrait shoots for like 5K.
Okay.
And I was working almost every few days, maybe every 2 days or something like that.
Okay.
So I said, my way of thinking was that let me work half the time for half the pay for my boss.
Okay.
So I said, it shouldn't be that hard to do shoots for 35K a month.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, I can just chill and do my own thing. So I said, Sawa, this makes sense. So I stayed out for about 3 months. I was working half for 2 weeks and then on my own for 2 weeks, which was a good decision, but a bad decision in that it accelerated my need to just leave the office, because I just realized how much I enjoy being in control of my time than being at the office.
Okay.
So, and work wasn't that bad. At least I was fortunate enough that I could at least make what I was making in the office straight away.
Okay, so I think that then at least gave you the confidence to jump into photography full-time, because you knew you were at the very least going to meet your costs.
Exactly.
How did you go about finding your first clients?
A tough questions.
Like, where did you go? I'm just wondering if someone's watching, they're like, did you knock on people's doors? And back then, like 10 years ago, Instagram wasn't Instagram the way it was, you know, so it's a little harder to then use that to push your profile.
What I'd say I did, the 2 years, because I started shooting 2010, left my job 2012.
Okay.
So in those 2 years, I did this exercise that I found online that was called a daily shoot. Like, you go online, there's an assignment, you have 24 hours to shoot, edit, and upload your picture.
Yeah.
Not for competition, it was just a community of people all over the world doing this. So there's a topic that you shoot for, like, whether it's shoot from a low perspective. By them saying what it is that you shoot, I think it makes the people who participate, it's like you have to be creative, because you're not the one who decides what you're going to shoot. So I'd shoot and share online, and I started a blog that time, photography blog, where I was posting daily. But daily I was just posting a daily photo.
Okay.
And for me, the idea was not even blogging to show people. It was more to keep a progress for myself, a progress report. Then I can look after a year at my first picture versus where I am and see, okay, there's progress. But then people were catching up, people were following this. And so by the time I left my job, people were asking me to get photographed. So I never actually went out to look for
clients.
A job, like to knock on doors and say, I want this job, I want to do this. People kind of just saw all the work that I was putting daily.
Yeah.
And they were like, I think, how much do you shoot portraits for? So yeah, I used to shoot a lot of that.
And your work speaks for itself. And what I like about that as well is that it shows, I think a lot of times we wait for, let the conditions be perfect. I'm going to need for this much to be in the account, for this, you know, for my life to be moving this direction, for all the equipment to be the way I want it to be. But the idea is to just to start and to keep going, and then things will align and meet you where you are.
Exactly, I think so.
But now, speaking of equipment, photography equipment is
not
really expensive.
Yeah.
It's super expensive. How did you start? And is there a kit that you would advise beginners to go for?
Yeah. I mean, equipment is expensive, but you don't need the expensive equipment to start.
Okay.
It gets more expensive because you figure out what you need and you keep adding.
Right.
When I started, I had a camera, it's now discontinued, a Nikon D40.
Okay.
And I remember after I graduated, in that 1-2 months that I was taken out of not looking for a job, just to try and chill and figure out the next moves, I was, again, my odd jobs. So this company, I used to do architectural visualization, which is ideally you give me your plans for what you want to do, and then I make like a walkthrough, a 3D walkthrough.
Okay.
So that's something I used to do from when I was in campus.
Yeah.
So I did this for them. When they asked me, when I went to pick up the deposit from them, I didn't even go home. I remember I went to the office, picked up the deposit. It was 50K.
Yeah.
I went straight to town.
Yeah.
I went to this shop. I can't remember what the name is.
Okay.
They had that camera. It was 40K. I bought that camera. I bought a memory card, I think, for 2.5. Went back home broke. Yeah. But with a camera. And then I put it on the shelf because I didn't know what to do with it.
Oh, but at least you made the first move.
But at least I had it.
Yeah.
So that was the basic camera with the kit lens. Kit lens is the 18 to 55.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned with, and that's what I used for about a year or two.
Yeah. Before you upgraded or
change anything.
Okay.
I didn't even upgrade. I just bought more lenses.
Right. Which is actually, that's the key, isn't it, when it comes to photography? It's the lens that really matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we have to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to know about how he went about his pricing. How did he know, he mentioned that it was 5K at some point. How did you know where to start with all of that? We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. We're talking to Mutua Matheka about his journey into photography, the ups, the downs, and now we're getting into the money bit. And earlier you talked, well, we're not going to pry too much, don't worry, but earlier you did mention that the first time you charged for portraits for your clients, it was about 5,000 shillings.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to know how you came up with that figure and why 5K, because for me, when I first started blogging, I remember the first time I ever charged someone, it was also 5K.
Yeah.
And I was panicking. Mutua, I was like, this is too much. I'm never going to agree. Mind you, I probably spent way more than 5K to put together that blog post. But how, mine was just guesswork. I didn't really know what I was doing, but
honestly,
how did you do it?
It's the same. I was guessing. I was just like, if I was going to go and have pictures. I mean, let me just say, at that time, I was just really shocked that anyone would be paying me actual money to take their pictures, because I was like, you guys don't know that I'm just winging it.
Yeah. They don't know.
But as long as they don't know, I'll just keep fiddling with my camera and taking pictures and see what happens.
Okay.
Because the setup that I mean, this is a time when I was using DIY lights made from a carton. And inside, you know, it was fluorescent bulbs.
Yeah.
And the people, like if you came for a shoot and you came with a friend, your friend was the one holding the lights.
Really? Oh, man.
And people didn't seem to mind.
Yeah.
Like I made people do things that now I'm like, that's not the right way to, that's not the right way to deal with clients.
Yeah.
But they were happy to.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was a problem.
Right.
They felt like they were involved in the creation.
Okay. I can get it. It's probably fun for them too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now you are the Mutua Matheka. And no, you really are. You really are.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm sure with time, your pricing and your pricing strategy has become more sophisticated and more intentional. So what are some of the things you consider now when you're coming up with your cost? What do you take into consideration now that you know better? Yeah.
Definitely, first thing is, what am I putting in?
Okay.
So anything that will cost actual money has to be considered.
Yeah.
And this is everything. I think most of the time for photographers or even creative people, most of the time we see our businesses different from, say, a supermarket.
Right.
Or a store that sells whatever. But we need to see it as the same thing.
I hear you.
Like whatever these people who have this supermarket do to make their business successful, as a photographer, I need to do the same thing.
Okay.
So by the time they charge you this amount for something, they've considered the electricity that they paid for, they've considered the rent that they need to pay, they've considered taxes, they've considered the equipment that they use, and they've considered that the equipment wears off, and that in a year or two, they probably need to replace those machines.
Okay.
All that is involved in that cost.
Yeah.
And so those are the things I think about. I don't, when I say like the cost of cameras, it's not like I'm saying this camera cost me 80K, so I'm going to charge my client 80 plus this and this and this. I mean, they're not paying for the camera, but every time I press the shutter on my camera loses a life because it has a finite number of clicks. For most of these cameras, it's like 100K, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
So all that has to be considered. And if you do all that and add it together, plus time. Time costs money.
Yeah.
And now the time part is where I think for most people it varies, because the value of my time might not be the same as the value of, say, a primary school kid or someone in university. They might have a lot more time that they're willing to spare than I do.
Yeah. And sorry, to focus on time, you're talking about the time to take the photo and to edit it as well.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So if I'm working for you for a total of 8 hours, it means I'm billing you for 8 hours.
Okay.
And I think lawyers are some of the people that have this pretty much on point.
It's sophisticated, it's refined.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like every single hour that they give you, whether it's a phone call or whatever, costs money.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why people frown on creatives when you say, I actually took 30 hours dealing with you.
Yeah.
All the 30 hours were not necessarily editing or shooting, but there were times that you called me for meetings and stuff like that. Maybe that was unnecessary.
Creative direction,
yes.
all that.
But all that goes into the cost. And so, yeah, over time, the more value I put on my time, the more expensive I become as a photographer.
Right, okay. And now I know that with creatives, a lot of times because you don't have a standard 9 to 5, you don't necessarily have a salary. And so it usually will be based off of the jobs that come your way. Now, you also have a family. Were there moments that, were there things that you did to sort of curb any quiet times that you had? And did you even have any of those, like, whew, it's quiet?
Yeah, that still happens.
Okay.
Like, in fact, I saw a tweet the other day that was just, this is perfect, because the freelance life, that's how it is. Sometimes there's nothing for months, and then other times it's like 5 people want you to work within the same month. And sometimes I could make all the money for the year in 3 months.
You've said something important there. Which was that you knew how much money you ideally wanted to make each month. And so you could, in your head, you knew with like maybe 4 jobs, you'd booked enough money for the year.
So that's also possible sometimes. So for me, the thing is, when the money is a lot, the tap, you still keep it pretty much tight, because you don't know when the next time is. So you just keep going. You don't spend, it's not like, you know, when you're employed and then you get a raise and then you upgrade your standards to the level of the raise. Sometimes with freelancing, you have to think, if there's a huge chunk of money, maybe for the next 3 months, I may not have anything. So what do I need to deal with for the next 3? So keeping my, expenditure for the family still the same, whether it's a big job or a small job, and then keep going. Because sometimes, you work now and that money is coming in 3 months or in 1 month. So you never know. So the basic thing is to just keep operating as if there is no money coming. And for me, that has kind of worked. Because I'm the spendthrift. My wife is the one who's like,
watch it.
Even when she spends 10 bob, she's like, I wish I didn't have to spend.
It's good. It's nice to have the balance. If you were both spendthrifts, it would be a different story, wouldn't it? Now, I know you've worked with some amazing, huge international clients. And I know a lot of times with creatives, you often go with what feels right. What's your gut saying, and is this a good connection, right? Unlike supermarket, it's like, do you want the bread? Take it. Do you want the milk? Whatever, and we don't really care. So how do you marry the two, and how do you decide which clients to take on? Is there ever that conflict?
Yes. For me specifically, I mean, not everyone has this conflict, and it's understandable because different people have different ways of approaching what they do. There are many photographers who are my friends who are also like, this is a supermarket, we are here to work. So anything that comes, we do. They operate like machinery. And sometimes I envy them, but I could never be that way.
Why is that?
Because for me, I feel like I'm extremely involved. I pour myself out into the things I do, and everything I do has a signature of me. And so I can't pour out my heart in everything. I can't commit to everything because I really don't want to be like that. So I do have jobs I select. There are many jobs that I send out to my friends because there's always people around me who do things that I don't do and do them better. Because like now I don't shoot any more portraits. But people still ask me.
I was asking you. I was like, Mutua, can you do a quick, like real quick, can we do a quick, and you're like, no, I do landscape architecture. I hear you.
The times that I shoot people is when they're in front of interesting buildings.
I'll find an interesting building and I'll call you.
That's the trick. That's the trick. That's how you make it in. But so I do believe, first of all, I believe in having a nice connection or network of people who around you, like other people in your profession, who you can always share work in the hope. This, of course, is a faith thing, because you're hoping that the people that you send jobs that you don't do, but they do, will also send you the jobs that you specialize in, that they don't need to do. So that's one of the things that I do. I've always believed, okay, so basically my philosophy of how I choose is that there's somewhere, I see it as there's somewhere that I want to be, whether it's in 5 years or 10 years, like there's a direction I want my work to take. And before I take a job, the very worst I want to take is a job that will keep me in the same place that I am. That's the worst case scenario. But if a job takes me closer to where I want to go, then I take it. Whether it's paying in money or not, most of the times that's my way of choosing. Like if something takes me back, I don't like being in that situation.
I hear you. And you've said something that I think is so important, especially now where competition is often, you know, a lot of people just dive into careers or different things, different paths, feeling like they've got to kick everyone else out in order for them to shine. But that you've got a community of photographers who you work beautifully in this blended situation. It says a lot about who you are and what the industry also can be. Beautiful.
Because there's a lot of work.
There's a lot of work. Like, Now I want to touch on copyright, which is something I see you prepping yourself like you're about to go into a ring. But it's something that a lot of photographers or creatives and artists have to struggle with. That is brands or people taking on their work in the form of, I'm just sharing, it's just a TBT, and they take on your photos. How have you dealt with that in the past?
That happens a lot. First thing I'd say, education. Like we need to educate ourselves. If you create anything in any way, especially now in the age of the internet, you need to educate yourself on what it means when you put your work online. Because any work that is online has been shared. So the sharing that happens after that, there's so much sharing copyright that we need to know, because there's like the Creative Commons, which has different levels of, you can share work by saying that this work can be modified by anyone who wants and shared as long as it's not commercial. Then you can also share your work saying no edit, no changing of this work is allowed by anyone. And so depending on what you choose, that should be indicated somewhere on your website or something like that.
So at least put out a statement somewhere on your site.
So that if anyone does anything, they can't say ignorance. Because you can say it's written right here on my website that taking of these photos for commercial use is not allowed, and if you want to, contact me here. At least that's a first
step.
That's a good step. I'm not a big fan of watermarks. Because putting a name on something is, to me, I don't feel it says that's mine enough, and it can be photoshopped out anyway. On an individual level, I'm more for, over time, having such a unique and obvious style that even when your pictures are used without your consent, people know that this looks like it's a picture. And for me, that happens a lot. People keep sending me on WhatsApp, like my friends will be like, hey, congratulations, just saw your picture on the newspaper. That's how I busted some people who were using it unlawfully. Now they're like, congratulations, this is dope. And then I'm like, I didn't sell this image to these guys.
So in that situation, how did you handle it? What did you do?
So in that situation, what we did, I also have a team around me. Like a management team. And so I got in touch with my producer, immediately asked them, hey, did we sell a picture to this company? He said, no, which newspaper is that? Told him what the newspaper it was. He got out immediately, went out, bought that newspaper. It was a Sunday newspaper.
Yeah.
Bought it, took the picture, wrote an email to the company, wrote an email to who we thought. But first we found out, because I think we knew the ad agency.
Okay.
So we called someone we knew from the agency and asked them, hey, are you still representing that company? They said no. They told us who it was. So we now wrote to everyone in that, just to make sure whoever is written to doesn't bury the email.
Yeah.
So like to marketing, whatever emails we found from that company, wrote to them with an invoice attached. Because it's on the newspaper.
It wasn't a conversation. It was like, okay, here we are.
It's already been used.
And I bet it's more expensive.
Of course. So we had to charge them like 3 times more than they would have gotten the picture for that one day use. So after someone tried calling me, but you know, at that point, now is not time for conversation.
Right.
So anyone who was calling me, I was like, just please talk to my producer.
Yeah.
He's handling this.
Okay.
That way I kind of
took yourself out of it. Yeah.
So that it's not an emotional conversation, it's a business conversation.
Because they made that call the minute they used your photo.
And now even Muav, a friend of mine, has numerous cases in court.
Yeah.
Because the first thing, obviously, that's what I'd advise. Someone uses your image without email them. If it's already been used, then obviously we're not talking about putting down the image. Now we're talking about charging. Invoices and charging for whatever use has been done.
Yeah.
If they refuse, then that's when things can be escalated. Which is why for me, I'm always thinking about, is this something I take to Twitter first? I don't take it to Twitter first, unless I already know there's nothing that will come out of this. But if it's a company, I like to deal with it professionally, not just come out guns blazing. Because they made a mistake, it's fine. People make mistakes, just pay for your mistake.
Exactly.
We can still work together in the future. Like, there's no beef. You just
be accountable.
I'm just letting you know these are available. If someone made mistakes in your company, that's fine. Next time, just come straight to me.
Right. Okay.
And it has worked out so far.
Okay. We have to take another quick break. But when we come back, I want to dive into how difficult is it to actually take photos in Nairobi? Because if you know Mutua, you know that he does take the most iconic photos of the city. But did he run into any troubles with the cops while doing that? That's what we're getting into in a moment. Welcome back. I'm just going to jump straight into the quick fact for today. We've got two actually, and the first is around 250 billion photographs have been uploaded to Facebook. And the second one is the most viewed photograph in history is Windows XP's default wallpaper. Interesting. Speaking of wallpaper, you've got wallpapers that come out every Monday. Every Monday.
Yeah.
Was that your way of scaling the business, or what was your intention?
No, in fact, that had nothing to do with business.
Okay.
When it was just a matter of when I started shooting, because I'd be going to these interesting places to shoot landscapes and stuff like that. Every time I'd look for wallpapers online, of course it was not African cities, it wasn't things that are familiar to me. Like I will never get anything like that. So I just said, you know what, if it's not there, then I might as well start making them. So I started giving my pictures as wallpaper.
Yeah.
And now, about 2 years ago, it expanded to involving other artists and photographers who are not me. So now at least I share my picture, then the next week it's someone else. Then now it's all of Africa.
Yeah.
Because I'm always just scouting on Instagram, trying to find interesting pictures, because I want people to keep seeing on their screens things that are familiar to them.
Okay. I love that.
Like New Yorkers keep seeing them. They can there are so many pictures like skylines of New York or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if
or
you're
Paris,
from Africa,
then
what will be on your screen?
I love that.
So, yeah.
I love that. Now, going back to even why, what you're just saying just now, which is you love to take photos of the city and of Africa. You've taken some of the most beautiful photos of the Nairobi city landscape, and it's mind-blowing every time. And you're right, because I can know when this is a Mutua photo, because you just know the way you've just captured the essence of Nairobi is unlike what we usually see. So given that sometimes it can be a little difficult, Kanjo is right there, there's a cop here, how do you go about taking these photos?
It's difficult. Because this is the interesting thing, like what I was saying today morning, is that for me, while I'm shooting on the streets, I'm more afraid of the authorities than I am of street kids and thugs.
Yes, actually,
like when I'm watching out, I'm not watching out for who will steal my camera.
Yeah.
I'm watching out for that police car, for that Kanjo truck. Those are the things I'm watching out for.
Okay.
Because they could come at any time.
But why is it an issue to shoot Nairobi? To shoot in Nairobi?
This is a question I'm asking, because this is the thing. It became a lot harder after this whole Al-Shabaab business.
Yeah.
But then my argument has always been that if pictures are what makes cities attacked, some of the most attacked cities will be places like Paris and all these cities which are photographed a lot.
All the time.
So I don't think it's a direct correlation. I think we need to, yes, up security.
Yeah.
But true security is not about forbidding everything.
Yes.
It's about things with moderation. And one of the things that people forget is that some of the most visited cities are also some of the most photographed cities. And there's a relationship.
Yeah.
So how will people know about Nairobi if we are not saturating the internet with interesting pictures of Nairobi? Because Nairobi is not just one thing.
Yeah.
We are not just poverty and corruption.
Yeah.
We are also, it's also beautiful. We also have really good food. The sunrise here is amazing. The weather
vibe,
is perfect.
The personality.
Precisely.
Yeah. But I think there's a time Sonko did say that that all these restrictions around photography, that they were going to be a little less strict.
Yeah.
Did that change anything? Did you find?
I don't know if it did, because I haven't shot a lot since then on the streets.
Yeah.
So my thing is that most of the time, if I'm shooting out on the streets, I come out on Sundays.
Okay.
Because even most of the corrupt authorities are off duty.
Yeah, it's Sunday. They're in church, hopefully.
Yeah, and then I go out. My tips are that I go out in a group. Most of the time, I've noticed that like when we have Insta meets in town, when we are like 10, sometimes we are as many as 100 people. They can't bust everyone.
Okay.
They notice that, hey, people are taking pictures. You even meet cops, but they're like, but what can we do?
Yeah, too many.
But when you're alone or two, I hear so many cases of people who've been busted. So I always go out like in a group of maybe 5 to 10 people if possible.
Right.
Everyone doesn't have to be shooting.
Yeah.
Like just a group of people to watch your back, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But Sundays are the best. If you can, and this is on TV, so I should probably be saying the right things.
It's okay. I mean, it's the truth.
If people
go for it. Go for it. Yeah.
The thing is, by law.
Yeah.
By law, if we just looking at the law.
Yeah.
Everybody, anyone has the right to photograph in this city.
Okay.
As long as you're doing it on public property.
Oh.
Like you're not allowed to go into private buildings and start shooting because that's private, that's trespassing.
Yeah.
But anywhere, if I'm on the street and I'm taking a picture, it's fine because that's public property. Ideally, it's my property.
Yeah.
Belongs to the public.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a commercial, then you're required by law to obtain a license.
Yes.
That you notify the police that you'll be shooting that, obtain a license from Nairobi City Council, and then you're good to go. These licenses are not very difficult to obtain. And I've shot many times commercial work on the streets of Nairobi, and there's no time I shoot without a license. Because when I'm dealing with a client, it will be so shameful to just have cops come and then us trying to dodge a situation without a license with a client. Like, that's really shameful.
Yeah, and it doesn't read well about your brand.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you're just trying to evade and avoid a license that costs 3,600 for a day. Yeah, so get a license if you're shooting commercial. If it's personal, I honestly don't believe you should be getting a license because that's against the law. Supports us in that we should be able to shoot our city.
Yeah, I see. You know, I sense that there is a slight shift. I mean, even in malls or private buildings and cafes, whether it's a restaurant or whatever it is. Previously, I used to find that a lot of people would be like, what are you doing? No, stop. That's a few years ago. But now, I mean, you've got your vlog camera right there. You were vlogging before we started. I think they're more used to people, whether it's taking a selfie or taking a, doing a vlog video. Yeah, and they also appreciate the fact that if you are taking a picture, you most likely will tag the location, and they can reap from that kind of publicity. And speaking of social media in this day and age, how has that affected your business, and do you think it has at all?
Yeah, I think my whole life as a photographer, without social media or the internet,
it wouldn't be the same. Do you know what I remember, actually? I remember a few years ago, at the start of Instagram, you were on their recommended list. Are you still on the recommended list? No,
you don't usually stay there for
long.
But like they do a week. Then.
And if you're watching this and you don't know, if you're new to Instagram, what often will happen is that they will give you a list of people that you should follow, whether that's Selena Gomez, Beyonce, Mutua Matheka was on that list, you guys, okay? He was like proper celebrity goals. And how did that affect your Instagram numbers, actually?
A lot. Because I remember so I've been on that suggested user list twice. First time I had about 5K. When they put me on, I went up to about 25K.
Wow. In how long?
In about 5 days.
20,000 followers in 5 days.
Yeah.
Madness.
And then it settled, because those are people who are just coming onto Instagram, so they just follow as what is suggested, then maybe they realize, I don't follow this guy anymore. So it was 25, but then settled at around 22.
Okay.
And then went on with life as usual, Instagramming, traveling and shooting, stuff like that. Then one time they were doing a feature about Kenya, and they used a picture that I'd shot in Nyeri.
Yeah.
So when they did that, again, shot up by about 5K.
Wow.
From that one feature.
Yeah.
Then a lot later, they put me on the suggested list again, but this time for maybe 2 days.
Yeah.
And then I think that time it went up from like 25 to maybe 40.
Wow.
Settled at 30 something.
Yeah.
Then from there, everything has been pretty much organic till now.
Now, take me back through the past 10 years. If you look back at the past 10 years that you've been doing this, is it 10 yet? Almost.
Not yet.
Almost 10. 9. 8.
No, 8.
Almost. Okay.
8, yeah.
But the past 8 years, what are the biggest milestones? The moments that you thought, oof, this is a clear shift in the direction of my career?
First one, when I actually decided to leave my job, that was big. Second one was actually deciding to focus, because my focus is on travel and architecture.
Okay.
That for me was a big deal, because I was like, these are not necessarily the most paying or where the jobs are the most.
Oh, architecture. Oh, right. Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, big fish, small pond, I could do this. So that for me was relevant. And, you know, it's architecture, it ties, it kind of validated my past. It showed me that I wasn't trying to do it to validate, saying, oh, I studied architecture, so, but it showed me, okay, this is even why I studied architecture, because I love buildings and I love these seemingly lifeless forms that have life somehow.
Yeah.
So those two were major.
Yeah.
Have others disappeared?
If they have, it's okay.
Well, yeah. I mean,
is there
the first? I don't know whether I should say it.
No, say it. You never know. It might help someone.
Yeah.
Who's watching and are like, oh, we don't know. Should we? But what?
Yeah, like the first 7-figure job was also quite like, it was very validating in terms of like, okay,
you're on the right track.
This is a possibility.
Mutua, that's important that you share that, because I think a lot of times creatives, artists are seen as, oh, that's fun. The most that you can possibly make is maybe a quick 5K, like we were talking about. But you're talking about having a 7-figure job. You're supporting a family, and you're able to carry yourself with pride and dignity, because you know that what you're doing is impacting lives, but also sustaining your life. So it's important that people watching understand that it's not just you know, a fun thing that you do on the side. It's your career. Let me tell you, when I say I'm with the Mutua Matheka, I'm with the Mutua Matheka, one of the most successful photographers in the country, if not even Africa.
Well,
so
yeah, thank you.
No, thank you.
Still working on it.
No, thank you. And one of my biggest lessons that I've drawn from this conversation is that, one, intention is so important. It seems to me that everything that you do is so intentional, whether it is the photos that you want to capture, or it is the direction you want to even take with the photographs, the clients that you want to have on. Intention is key, but also discipline. Because you talk of, you know, working for a year on your YouTube videos so that you see where it goes, or waking up every morning at like, you know, 5:30 a.m. like you saw earlier in the show, so that you can take those photos. So intention and discipline, and no matter what it is that you are doing in your life, you are bound to find success, and eventually it'll meet you. It'll feel like, wow, it just happened, but it didn't just happen.
Yeah, it didn't just happen.
Thank you, Mutua. I could have gone on for hours. I probably will ask you a couple more questions offline, and make sure to share with you guys on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. For now, I want to give you a snippet of what's on for this weekend. If you have no plans or didn't know what to do, then here's a couple of activities. For starters, we have Holy Festivals Meet the Track in this family event to help raise money for underprivileged kids. So that's a really good one. There's also BUISS. It's the 25th edition of Kenya's premier improv comedy show. That's Because You Said So. It's going to be hilarious. I've been to several of them. Trust me, if you want a good laugh, they will hook you up, okay? For now, I think I'm going to have to love you and leave you, say goodbye up until Monday, 8 a.m. But again, we can always continue chatting on social media. That's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I may or may not even have a selfie session with Mr. Mutua. Teach him a couple things about
As
that.
I learn to take selfies.
Yeah, he does. He's not good with this. I don't know how great you are with the selfies, but I'll teach you a couple of things. Don't worry. Have a super weekend. See you on Monday.